try and unleash the power of your mind. It is May 30th, and we're airing live on dtmwickedradio.com, and we want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We really want to thank everyone for being here tonight, because this is, I believe, our 12th show, and, every week we've gone up and listened, and we thank you guys for listening. That's what it's all about. And we hope you learn something every week, because we do bring on some fantastic guests, and every week we just seem to learn something new, which I like. Anyway, our call-in number is 818-431-8214, and we encourage you guys to call in because we're very interactive. Our guest is pretty kick-ass, and she says that you guys can't come up with a question that she can't answer. All right, I might have put a few words in her mouth there, but you know what, we'll put it to the test. Anyway, this is going to be a great interactive show, so let's sit back, relax, and cross the threshold of reality together, people. If you want to friend me, you can just go on Facebook. I'm Psychic Medium Chris George, like my page. Maybe you get a free reading. You could also go to Victor's page, which is Victor the Voice Fuhrman. And, of course, Moonshine has his new page, Moonshine Adam. We have a community page on Google+, which is called Vision Quest. And on Facebook, we have our Vision Quest group page. So, like them, people. We have a good time on the pages. We put out a lot of good information. We interact with our listeners. And, hey, just give us a like. We have 30, 40,000 listeners, whatever we have. We'd like to get some people liking the pages, too. Why don't we just quickly go over last week? Our guest was Lisa Tarvez. I thought she was pretty cool. It seemed to me like she was hitting on me most of the night. I don't know what you guys thought, but I think she kind of digged me. Maybe that's just my vivid imagination. I don't know. But I thought she was a really good guest. What do you guys think? Jeremy?
I think you're full of it. But, yeah, she was great, man.
And Vic?
Chris, I think that all of the women find you devastatingly attractive, and I think that's what this is about. I think it's the energy that they can feel oozing from you through the ethers, going out into radio land, and they sense that, and they want you, Chris.
Now, every time you talk, it kind of sounds dirty. I don't know. Anyway, listen. Can we call you Barbara? You want us to call you Miss Carrie? What would you like us to call you?
No, Barbara is perfect. Barbara's wonderful.
Okay, well, I need to warn you beforehand, Barbara. Victor is the oldest person on the crew. He's 92 years old, but he's doing good for himself, and he's kind of like a dirty old man. So if he pulls out a little, because he thinks he's got that voice, and women get all turned on by him and whatnot. So I'm just letting you know. Be careful with Victor. Now, Jeremy Moonshine, he's the resident Southerner, and he's a little bit slow. So, if you have to slow it down a little bit for him, that's okay, too. And as you can see, I'm the typical New Yorker, and I don't know what you think about me, but you'll make that decision later. So,
Barbara, you'll find that Chris is suave and debonair.
Oh, God.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Outstanding. Well, listen, Mr. Royce, why don't you introduce our guest?
Well, we're very grateful tonight to be joined by Barbara Jean Carey. Barbara is the owner and operator of the Confident Mind Center in Malibu and is currently working on a new television series as well as on a new book and a series of CDs. She's a spiritual mind practitioner, motivational speaker, a master neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. She's a first-degree Reiki practitioner, a master therapeutic imagery facilitator, past life regression therapist, handwriting analyst, and master timeline therapist. And her website is www.theconfidentmind.com. Please join me in welcoming Barbara Jean Carey. Good evening, Barbara.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here.
Well, that's outstanding, and we're really honored to have you here with us. For our listeners don't know this, but you were supposed to be on the show a few weeks ago, but our station manager, his wife, Tiffany's mom, had gotten sick, and we couldn't do the show. We had to reschedule you, and we're very grateful that you decided to come on so quickly. We're very happy to have you here, and we know that this is going to be really just a kick-ass show. So, Victor, you want to start it off?
Oh, this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very passionate about what we're going to speak about.
Awesome.
Barbara, why don't we start off by sharing with our listeners what your work is all about?
Well, I, like you said, the Confident Mind Center is in Malibu, and I am a hypnotherapist, and I basically work with the subconscious mind. I specialize in self-limiting beliefs, and basically that kind of runs across the gamut. Whether someone's coming in for weight loss, whether someone's coming in for anxiety, relationships, nightmares, past life regression, we do everything and really pinpoint what is stopping someone in achieving their highest good.
That's very interesting. Jeremy, remind me, you did send me a YouTube clip of our guest, correct?
Yes, I did.
That was very cool, very cool stuff. And you can put out your YouTube address at any time you want because we want to get you some viewers there. So go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, no, I used to have a web show called The Confident Mind, and basically what I would do is I had all sorts of guests. Again, whether they were celebrities or average Joes, it didn't matter. The whole thing about my show was I wanted to find out how they did what they did and what belief system got them to where they are now. So it was like a success story, or someone that overcame these incredible obstacles and allowed themselves to succeed. And the reason why I say allow it is because, the universe is there. The universe is abundant. The universe is there just to give you your good. However, all it does is match your like energy. So if you're putting out good, you're going to get the good back tenfold. You're putting out negativity, you get the negativity back. So we want to make sure that you're vibrating at a certain level that attracts your highest good into you. And this is what I was allowing my viewers to be taught on. How do you change your belief system? What happens with your belief system? Because, everybody sits there and says, thoughts are things. Well, that's true to a point, but if thoughts were things, then how come we just can't sit there and think all day long and manifest all day long? It's because first there's a thought, and a thought means absolutely nothing until a belief is attached to it. And once a belief is attached to that thought, then we vibrate at a certain level. Our frequencies rise or lay lower depending on what that belief is. And then it goes out like a magnet and actually attracts that like energy back to you. So belief is so important because I could say a thought right now and maybe one of you would believe it and one of you would not believe it. So who's right and who's wrong? No one. It just depends on what it is that you believe.
Just following up on what you said, that if you put good out there, that good comes back to you. What do you say to people who say that they use the expression, no good deed goes unpunished?
Well, when they say no good deed goes unpunished, think about that for a moment. So somebody is doing a good deed, and somebody's doing it trying. And remember, there's no such thing as trying. You do or you don't. And you're saying, well, I try to be nice. I'm trying to do good. I'm trying to do this. Because I truly believe that anything that we do comes from, and we might be able to talk about this later, is one of our 4 control dramas. And sometimes when they say that no good deed is left unpunished, it's where are we coming from? Where's our energy coming from when we're doing this good deed? Are we coming from a victim? Are we coming from intimidator, an interrogator, an aloof? So again, that's something else we can get into later. However, you always attract back your like energy. What is it that you're putting out there as you're doing that good deed that is attracting that back to you? And trust me, I know a lot of people might say, no way, that's not fair. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't deserve this. And I'm not saying you deserve it at all. I'm saying change your vibration. Change the beliefs. Let's get our mind working correctly. So allow ourselves to attract this stuff to us.
Well, how you work with the subconscious mind? How does the subconscious mind work?
Okay. Think of it this way. Between 0 and 8 years old, we're like a sponge. And everything that we learn, we believe as the truth. So if you are, let's say, 6 years old, you get bit by a dog, and your truth becomes dogs are dangerous. But let's say there's another 6-year-old that absolutely has amazing experiences with dogs. Their belief becomes dogs are loving and lovable. Who's right and who's wrong? Doesn't matter. It's their belief. And then everything gets locked in at 8 years old. And then between 9 and 14 years old, what happens is we have what's called the critical mind, and that acts like the bodyguard. And now the bodyguard is saying, okay, you have to go through me. All these beliefs and experiences have to go through me. And if it matches with what I believe, then I'm going to let it in. And if it doesn't, I'm going to reject it. And then 15 plus years old, and here we're in high school now, and our conscious mind is just developing. And if you can think of the word world, except spelling it with an A, like W-A-R-L-D, that's the only 5 things that our conscious mind does. So let's think of it as an acronym. So W, willpower. A, we analyze. R, we reason. L, logic. And D, decision making. That's it. Every other emotion, anything else, comes from the subconscious mind. So we're basically walking around, 88% of our everyday actions come from the subconscious mind. So we're walking around from beliefs that we have learned from 0 to 8 years old. And 12% of our everyday actions is coming from the conscious mind.
Interesting. Let's jump ahead just a little bit into past life regression. What exactly is past life regression? And I have to say, I think people live. I don't know if you're going to agree with me with this. I know a lot of people don't. I'm a big believer that people live so much in their past lives that they forget to live today. And I say that I have a friend who is she's so gifted. She's a gifted numerologist, a feng shui expert, astrologer, and she should be doing so well for herself, but she lives in poverty. Why? Because she spends every day of her life trying to fix her past lives. I don't get the concept of spending every day trying to fix a past life when you have this life to live.
I completely agree with you. I agree with you. You shouldn't be spending every day of your life on fixing anything. When I say every day of your life, it's almost as if the belief is stuck in there, that
Right.
you have to work really, really hard to do all of this stuff. And the truth is, it could happen in a moment. It could happen in 21 days. It depends on what your belief is and how tightly held it is in the subconscious mind. Now, with past life regression, this is the way I think about it. I don't really care if it's real or not. That's not important to me. It's not important if we've lived this past life or we haven't. Doesn't matter. All I know is that when people come in to me to bring up a past life, regardless of if it's real or not, whatever is coming up, what I do know for 100% accuracy is whatever it is brought up is an issue that they're dealing with right now, that we can sit there and say, oh, there's the limiting belief. Let's attack that and let's replace it, because we can't take anything away from the subconscious mind. We have to give it something in return. And let's replace it with a more functioning belief that would allow you to get out of poverty, so to speak, like you're talking about with your friend. So it doesn't matter to me if it's true or not. I don't really care. All I care about is that let's make pretend it's not true for a moment, okay? So we're going to make pretend it's not true, and here our mind, our subconscious mind, is actually telling us a story in order to help you deal with what's going on right now. Let's say it is true. Then we say, okay, now we understand why our mind is holding on to that and consistently bringing on these limited self-beliefs over and over again. And we don't want that. So it's a tool. It's a tool that I use. That's the best way to describe it.
Barbara, you had mentioned 21
However,
days.
I will never have a client come in. I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm sorry, finish and then I have a follow-up question for you.
What I was going to say is that I never, ever say to a client, let's do a past life regression. I need a client to come and say to me, I would like to do a past life regression. Because now that's telling me that they are ready to hear what is keeping them limited.
You had mentioned 21 days. Is it true that it takes 21 days to create a new paradigm or a new habit?
Well, there are different studies on that, and I have kind of looked at everything. Some people say it's 30 days. Some people say it's 7 days. Some people say it's 3 days. The more that I look into it, it seems like 21 days seems to be the norm. But again, that could happen in a moment. It depends on, when people say they have these aha moments, that happens in a moment, just a moment. And your whole belief system ends up changing because you accepted something that you've never looked at before. Your perception is completely different.
Being on this show with Victor and Chris has helped me realize that everything is energy and energy is everything. So in a sense,
Absolutely.
I guess we're a little connected, but how are we connected to the universe?
Well, the truth is that we're all made up of the same stuff. The stars, everything is made up, okay? And really what we're made up of is nothingness. But the truth is there's never nothingness. The truth is it's matter that is vibrating at a level that you can't see. It's just energy. So let's forget even matter. What I meant to say is matter is completely made of energy. Everything's energy. Everything is vibrating. Absolutely. But here's the best way to think about us being connected to the universe. Think of that the universe is the World Wide Web, and that we are our own individual, let's say, computer or laptop. So we need to have that Wi-Fi, right? We flick the Wi-Fi on to connect it. The World Wide Web wants to express itself through us. So the World Wide Web, the universe, needs us as much as we need it. So if you imagine typing something into Google, your request into Google, you're not just getting one item. You're getting like thousands of pages. That's what the universe was going to give you. Thousands of unlimited possibilities. So it needs us as much as we need it.
Barbara, I'd like to just take a step back, if you don't mind, talking about past life regression. Being a psychic medium, I teach a lot of psychic development classes, and often in my classes and with people that I read, they want to know about their past lives. Now, I love what you said when you said that, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, because I will do past life readings for people. I'll give them what I get, but what I don't like about it is that I can't prove it. And being a psychic medium, you're only as good as the reading you give. You're only as good as the predictions if they come out. And when you talk about past lives, it's very hard to prove anything. And I have a very hard time giving people past life readings because not that I don't believe in my readings, I just believe that. When I give somebody something, they should be able to prove it. It should manifest. It should happen. If I tell somebody something's going to happen in September, I'm a good psychic if it does happen in September. You understand? With past lives, it doesn't work that way. And so I like that you said that whether it's real or not, because that resonates with me. I have a very hard time grasping the whole past life thing. I really do.
Okay, so let me tell you this. This is the first thing that comes up for me. So you're doing a reading, and someone talks to you and asks you about a past life, and something comes up for you, correct? Does something come up for you to express to them?
Oh, absolutely.
Regardless if it's a real thing or not, it's something they need to hear.
Right.
It's something that they need to hear in order to change their paradigm. So you are doing a great service to them because they need to hear that. And it doesn't matter if you believe it, they believe it. It doesn't have to be proved. What's in the pudding, the proof fact that you can energetically pick up what they need to hear about this past life is you are doing them a great service.
Okay, you know what? You put it that way, it sounds good to me, and I will absolutely accept that.
And Chris, the beauty,
Yes, the truth.
The beauty of the past life work and also future life work is you don't need malpractice insurance because who's going to sue you?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, prove it.
Could you explain the whole
I mean,
process?
literally, how many people can be Cleopatra, right?
That's right.
Well, listen, this is a big thing with Jeremy, because, he always says that, every psychic says that, every woman was, an Egyptian goddess or princess.
High priestess.
Right. Or high priestess.
They do.
Hey, you know what? I was a poor farm boy. It came up for me, a poor farm boy. But guess
Wow.
what? What I learned from that experience is something that helped me in my life today.
Well, that's all that
Was I
matters.
a poor farm boy? I don't know. Do I really care if I was a poor farm boy? No, I really don't care.
But
I
you know
just
something,
know that
Chris?
what I learned from that helped me.
But Chris, you know something, and this is not to knock anyone's belief in what they were or might have been because it's part of who they are anyway. A lot of people have an affinity with ancient civilizations because a lot of people have been in ancient civilizations, whether they were a pharaoh or a priestess or a slave. It doesn't make a difference. We all have some sort of connection either on a cellular level or on a past life energetic level to ancient civilizations, and that affinity is actually not a bad thing to have an affinity for an ancient civilization.
Okay.
No, and not only that, do we know it was past life? Or my belief, too, is that DNA not only carries the memory of the physicality of your body, it carries an emotional memory. It carries
Absolutely.
the memories of experiences. So here, your DNA that you're carrying around is from, how many years of ancestry?
Absolutely.
This is very interesting. I'm loving this conversation. I'm absolutely loving this conversation because it's not something I know a whole lot about. But what I would love to ask you is, can you explain the whole process of past life regression?
Sure. So basically what I do is I put somebody under hypnosis. And once I get them in hypnosis, I do a lot of, I'm trying to think how I can explain it without actually doing it. So after they're in hypnosis, what we do is we kind of take them to another realm. And when they get through that other realm and they kind of drop down into that body, the first thing that they do is they look at their feet. And they tell me what they're wearing. And we have to make sure that they are actually experiencing it through their own eyes, not like they're watching a video. But sometimes they will hop back and forth between being associated in the body and they're looking through their own eyes at their experience to being disassociated where they're watching. And usually what happens, they will disassociate when the emotional pain gets too intense. So they'll disassociate, and then they will tell me as if they're watching a movie. And then we can actually, resolve that emotional issue and then have them become associated again. Some people want to know how they died. Some people don't. We just honor. All I do is honor. The first thing is, every therapist does is, you take the oath of do no harm. So you want to honor exactly what it is that your client is requiring. And you'll notice me saying the word requiring instead of want, because to me, when you're wanting something, the subconscious mind keeps putting it into the future. You're wanting it. You don't have it. You're wanting it. But just like air, we require air. We don't want air. We require air. So that's why I, always say to your guests, what is it that you require?
I gotta say, I really like your style, Barbara. Outstanding. You just have
You
a
like
very
my what?
I like your style. I like the way you talk. I like the way you describe things. I could see why people would feel comfortable coming to you. I know, Vicky, you had a follow-up question.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about hypnosis because that's actually a very big part of your practice. First of all, is it true that that there are people who cannot be hypnotized?
No. And the reason I say no is because a lot of people say, yeah, I tried, I couldn't be hypnotized. Let me explain to you how the only way somebody can be hypnotized. It's when you have your facilitator, your hypnotherapist, that knows if you are taking in suggestions literally or inferentially. So in other words, if there's somebody who needs to be in control and they need to decide if they're going to allow that suggestion in or not, you need to use different verbiage compared to someone that needs to be told, like they literally need you to tell them and hear it. Because if you're sitting there and telling someone that needs to be told suggestions, but yet you are doing it in a way that would allow them to do it, they won't take it. They won't go under. And it would be the same thing when someone needs to be inferred through it. If you're saying it literally to them, it won't happen. And that's why people say, oh, I can't be hypnotized.
Now, what
I have
method of
successfully hypnotized every person that's ever come in to see me.
Now, there are different methods of hypnotic induction. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Can you just describe a couple for our listeners who are not familiar with that?
Sure. So one is called like eye fascination. And eye fascination basically is allowing the eyes to get so tired that it automatically allows the conscious mind to get distracted. And it'll get distracted and it'll close its eyes. And then we do what's called a progressive relaxation where, you know, we can relax all the muscles in the body. We can do something that's an arm raising. We can do something where just allowing your hand to be having like a magnet that's coming directly towards your face. There's all sorts of different ways to put somebody under hypnotically. And what happens is when it starts noticing how the arm is raising by itself or how the arm locks or it's dropping or whatever it is, then the conscious mind starts to get distracted, and we want the conscious mind to get distracted. We kind of like push that out of the way. And how I know if I've successfully had someone go under is I will end up counting backwards during the hypnotic process from 20 down to 1. And I always skip a number. Only the first time, because after the first time they know I'm going to do this. And so then they'll be waiting for it. We can't have that. And I always skip a number. And I say to them, what number did I skip? And I make sure that I, you know, completely skip that number so they will know that I'm skipping the number. You know, if we're going, you know, 11, 9, 8, 7. Okay, there's 10. What happened to 10? No one ever remembers what number I skipped. And that's how I know it successfully got the conscious mind distracted.
And please share a little bit with our listeners about what neurolinguistic programming is.
Okay, so neurolinguistic programming basically is how our brain takes in information and it distorts it, it deletes it, or it generalizes it. And we figure out where these files are going in our brain. And basically, when you're born, you're born with two fears. And scientists don't even know why it's these two fears. But two fears, every other fear is learned. So every other fear that's learned ends up creating its own file. And every time that there's a fear that's associated with that first one, it will go into that file. And can you guys guess what two fears that we're born with? Kind of odd.
Fear of drowning?
Claustrophobia?
No.
I don't think I was born with any fear.
A fear of loud noises and a fear of falling.
I can see the falling for
And
sure.
they're the only two. The only two that for it. So if you put a gun up to a baby, the baby's going to grab the gun and, you know, put it in its mouth. Or if there's like a big bear that's coming up to the baby will try to reach out and grab it. So the fears that we're with are fear of loud noises and fear of falling. And we know, we're born with the primitive mind, the fight or flight. That's what we're born with. Everything else is learned. And what's scary, this is what's scary, it's learned between 0 and 8 years old. And unless you've had this perfect childhood and that you believe that you can have abundance and love and health and wealth and happiness and success, then 88% of our belief ends up going toward whatever we learn between 0 and 8 years old until we flip it. Until we flip it. So, something that I would ask the viewers is really to think of what is their issue. What is constantly being brought up? Because the subconscious mind brings these patterns into your life because it wants to get rid of it. So it keeps bringing it up. So you'll do something to resolve it. And then most of us don't. And then we just repeat the pattern again and again and again. And these beliefs, these beliefs are sometimes utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. I'll share a story with you. I had a client that number one in his law school, graduated number one, could not pass the bar, took it 3 times, could not pass the bar. He came in, and what we found out under hypnosis was that his subconscious mind believed that if he passed the bar, he's going to get this fabulous job at this law firm. He's going to make millions. He's going to marry a beautiful wife and have lovely children and have this mansion. However, the wife is going to cheat on him. She's going to take his kids. She's going to take all of his money. Everyone's going to lose respect for him, so he's going to lose his job. He's going to end up homeless, and he's going to die. He's going to starve and die. So here the subconscious mind starts thinking, I'm not letting you take the bar. I'm not going to let you pass the bar. Forget that. You'll die. Because guess what, you guys? And when I first learned this, I didn't believe it until I realized, oh my gosh, it's true. Every fear that we have, every fear comes from a fear of dying. The subconscious mind wants to protect you, and it will protect you any way it can, as long as it believes it's going to keep you alive. So, if you are the subconscious mind, and you're thinking, hey, he passes the bar, we're going to die, of course the subconscious mind's going to come up and say, forget this, we're not passing it.
Barbara, wait a minute. Are you saying that my fear of being found naked in public has to do with death?
Here we go.
Okay, think about that. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. You have a fear of being naked in public. What's going to happen?
I'd be embarrassed.
What's going to happen?
I wouldn't be embarrassed.
Why would you be embarrassed?
Because I was
Of course
taught
you wouldn't.
that you have to be clothed when I was a child.
Why would you be embarrassed? Tell me why you would be embarrassed.
Because when I was a child, I was taught that you have to be clothed in public.
Okay, and what happens to you if you weren't clothed in public?
I might attract a lot of people.
And then
Well,
what will happen?
people might laugh or point.
Well, I don't know. You have to. I can't hear it from you. I need to hear it from him.
Oh, okay.
What would happen?
I'm just using that as an example. That's all. I don't actually have that fear because I quite frequently expose
Oh,
myself.
well, then you
to
can't use it as an example if you don't have it as a fear. Come on.
I'm just kidding. I just want to say that we're listening to Vision Quest. You're listening to Vision Quest with the wonderful Barbara Jean Carey. She's the owner and operator of the Confident Mind Center in Malibu. Barbara, please tell our listeners how they can find out more about your work and get in touch with you.
You know, one thing that they can do is I have an Instagram page that every day I post one inspirational, positive quote with really kind of cool, artwork and kind of like cartoonish type of stuff, which allows you, and if they're not long, I don't like long ones. I know people are, fast. Let's get it done and over with. And it's just like a one-liner, a 1 or 2-liner that you can take that with you through the day. And as a matter of fact, my book that's coming out is basically a navigational guide to what's going on in your life right at that moment. So if you can imagine you have the book and you're flipping through it and you open it up and you come to a certain page, whichever quote is on there, And the opposite page is telling you why you happen to bring that quote up into your life today and what you need to do about it. Where your limiting belief is happening right then. And you would love that because, you know, you're psychic and you know that we're all about, you know, we're all one mind. We know what we need. And it just allows us to kind of, you know, kind of flip through and open that up.
Yeah, I believe most people know what they need. They just want somebody to let them know, you know, as well. They want a verification from somebody else.
Because they're not trusting themselves.
Exactly.
And what they're actually doing is they're giving their power away. Because they thought somewhere in life that they weren't able to trust themselves. They weren't capable of doing it. Maybe they've made a mistake and they realized that, oh my goodness, you know, I can't do that again. What if that happens? If that happens, I'm going to die. You know, this is all stuff that no one even thinks of consciously.
Well, what is the mind-body connection?
When an event comes up that the mind can't handle, it gives to the brain. And when the brain can't handle it, it gives it to the body. And the body has to express it. So when it expresses it expresses it as a body syndrome. So literally, it's as if you have a sore throat, it's what is it in life right now that you can't swallow? Or your eyes are blurry one day. What is it that you're not willing to see? Or your hand hurts. It's what is it that do you feel like is out of your grasp? And you know, a great book by Louise Hay is How to Heal Your Life.
Yes.
And basically, and in that back of the book, it's brilliant. You can look up every single thing that's going on with you, and it will give you a reason why you're having that body syndrome.
We have a question from
And you can heal yourself. Absolutely, you can heal yourself.
Well, we have a question from Kathy in the chat room, and she wants to know if being hypnotized is the same as going into trance.
Yes, it's very similar. People like, and there's different types of hypnosis. Like stage hypnosis is completely different than hypnotherapy, and most people get very scared because they have a misconception of hypnosis, of what you're going to do to them, and are you going to make them quack like a dog, or if 3 days from now they're going to end up doing something that you don't want to have happen. And it's not true. You cannot be hypnotized to do anything that you don't want to do. If you really wouldn't go rob a bank, I can't hypnotize you to go rob a bank. So yes, a trance state is very, very similar to the hypnotic state. Get a trance. Just a different verbiage.
Barbara, Judith in our chat room wants to know, can you feel yourself going under hypnosis?
Yes, you can. So what happens is you feel this deep state of relaxation, but at the same time, you know you're here. You know that you're, in the chair. You know that you're listening to me. You can hear my voice, but yet at the same time, you've switched something. There's something that it's like you're listening to me, and you know that I'm here. And sometimes all of a sudden I could have you under hypnotically, and you won't remember what I was saying because you were thinking about your grocery list. And the truth is all of those suggestions that are going in as the conscious mind is being distracted, and next thing you know, they go home and they say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I stopped doing this, or I can't believe I didn't even hear you say that. Or some people are very aware of listening to what you say. And then I do all sorts of different testing to see if the subconscious mind is actually rejecting that suggestion, if they're accepting it. There's all sorts of, I want to make sure that I'm calibrating the person. That's why it's really important to watch what's going on.
All right. Well, go ahead. Who had the next question there? Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
What are control dramas?
Okay, so we have 4 control dramas. And the reason why we have a control drama is if you can just imagine that your life is like this beautiful vase, and it has flowers in it, and it needs water to keep the flowers alive. And most people, 99.9% of people, have a crack on the bottom of their vase, and the water starts seeping out. So now we need to fill that vase back up. We don't think to fix the crack. We just know we need to get water in there because what? We'll die if we don't. So we need that water in our vase. So what happens is instead of getting our water from the universe, instead of trusting in the universe and knowing that energetically everything's going to come to us that we believe and put out there and all good, our highest good for all involved, what happens is we use one of 4 control dramas to suck the water from someone else's vase into ours. And what happens is that a dance becomes, and each control drama will marry their complete opposite control drama. And that's where the dance comes in. And we learned these 4 control dramas, one of 4, from our parents. We either mimic them and take on their exact control drama, or we do their opposite, their dance with them, in order to see where our control drama got formed. So, for instance, the first one is the intimidator. Exactly what it sounds like. Kind of a bully, intimidates people, puts people down, allows them to feel superior. So this is the intimidator. The intimidator will always attract a victim. That's the second control drama, the victim. Woe is me, I can't believe, of course I didn't get the job because I got a flat tire on my way, and, it only happened to me. The third control drama is the interrogator. And the interrogator is, hey, it's 6 o'clock, you got done work at 5, where were you for the last hour? They go, well, I stopped and got gas. Well, it doesn't take an hour to get gas, and it only takes you 10 minutes to get home, so where were you the other 15 minutes? Okay, I'll give you 10 minutes to get gas. No, it's 20, where's 40 minutes? And you go, well, I forgot I went to the cleaners. Well, you never told me you went to the cleaners when you first got home. Now all of a sudden you went to the cleaners? What did you have? I didn't see you take anything this morning. So now someone is interrogating. They're attracting the fourth control drama, what's called aloof. And the aloof one is you're not quite sure what they're thinking. You're not quite sure what they're feeling. So the interrogator has to pull that information out of them, which completely fills their vase up. And the aloof, by allowing the interrogator to come forward, is filling them up because now they're getting that attention. They're getting that. And at first we think we hate it. We hate being interrogated. We hate people that are aloof. We hate people that are victim. We hate it. But that's where our control dramas lie. So if you guys end up thinking, or your viewers, if you think about what was my parents, what were they? My mom was an aloof. So I became an interrogator. And I became an interrogator to find out, what is my mom really thinking? What is my mom really feeling? What's going on with my mom? And what happens is when you start recognizing your own control dramas, then you can use it for a higher purpose. For example, my interrogating skills will be used with my clients to elicit information out of them so that they can allow themselves to better their life when we get down to the nitty-gritty. So all of them can be used in very productive ways, but we have to first recognize what we're doing. We have to recognize. Do you guys know what you are?
I have no idea.
No idea.
What would you say, Victor?
I think I'm an interrogator.
I think I'm an interrogator as well.
I don't know.
Okay, Victor, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and is your wife an aloof?
No. She is actually a victim.
Okay, and any part of you that's an intimidator?
Only in the aspect that I am very calm when she's in the midst of chaos. and she finds that intimidating. And it's not because I'm trying to intimidate, it's because I'm trying to maintain a certain decorum in the relationship.
Because sometimes when the interrogator and the intimidator end up thinking and feeling, where the intimidator can question, might sometimes sound like that they're an interrogator, where they're an intimidator. And some people would automatically say, well, I'm not an intimidator because I'm not a bully, I'm not this, I'm not that. But it's the way that we're doing things, the way of the perception of other people. So, of course, because of me being an interrogator, I'm always going to attract an aloof. It's just that's the way it is.
Really interesting
And you'll start
information.
noticing in your friends and everybody. So, Chris, what did you say you are?
I think, I don't know. I think I could be an intimidator, and I think I could be an interrogator. I think I could be both.
Are you married?
I used to be.
Okay, and what was she?
She was I would say she was more of a victim type. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Okay.
I think she was more of a
No,
victim
I
type.
understand. Hey, they're the greatest people in the world that are victims.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another thing, is when a client comes in to see me and I clearly see, let's say that they're a victim, I will never say to them, you are a victim. What I do is I explain the control dramas, and if they don't know right away, and I clearly know they're a victim, I say, go out into the world this week. Tell me what comes up for you. And then, 99% of the time they come back and they go, I'm a victim. And then we we work on it without judging ourselves. There's nothing to judge. It's stuff that we learn as a kid.
At the
And we
top of the
notice
next
where our control dramas come from.
at the top of the next hour,
It's really interesting. I'm sorry, I talked over you. Say that again?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
To me?
Yes, Barbara, go ahead. Continue with what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, all I was just saying is that I'm fascinated with this stuff because it's amazing how much stuff, how much crap is in there that we actually need to let go of.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side of it, there's a lot of good stuff in there too, and it shows what we're attracting. All we need to do is just at any moment look around our life, notice what we're doing, notice what we're liking in our life, keep doing the same of that, notice what we're not liking, and let's change it.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Or should I take Esther's question?
You go with Esther's question, Chris.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
All right, I lost. Okay, Esther in the chat room wants to know, do you always remember what you say during hypnosis?
Do they always remember?
Does
Is that the question?
hypnosis?
Do you
Yeah.
always
Does the
remember
client-
what's going?
Does the client remember what's said under hypnosis? I think that's the question she's asking.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they go under so deep that they don't remember. And sometimes I don't want them that deep. Sometimes I want them where we're going to do a creative visualization where I want them to talk back to me. So it depends on how deep I put them under.
Okay.
And I decide that on what the issue is.
And then there's a follow-up question from Esther. She says, aren't we all a little bit of all of the control drama types?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But there is one that is actually in the driver's seat. But yes, we can all sit there and say, oh, I can see where I intimidate, I can see where I interrogate, I can see where I'm aloof, I can see where I'm a victim. We all can do that. But there's one that's in the driver's seat. There's one that's actually that driving force that's going to go out there and suck that water from somebody else. And then it goes back and forth, and they suck the energy from you, you suck it back from them, so, like an emotional vampire.
Okay.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's very fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic first hour. This is very interesting. We have another question from Judith. Jeremy, you want to take that one?
When you meet the client, can you tell by talking to them for a few minutes if the hypnosis will work for them or not?
have to call our guest back? I think we just lost her.
I think you hypnotized her, Chris.
No, not me. I mean, I'm being good tonight. I'm drinking my Jolly Rancher vodka. I'm having a good time, interacting with the chat room, talking with you guys. This has been really a very, very interesting first hour, I think.
He's biding his time till the Church of Second Sight, and then he's going to be the victim for 15 minutes.
No, first of all, you're talking about next week on my other show. I am not going to be a victim, number one. Number two, I'm not even going to mention what you guys did to me yesterday because I thought it was funny. My Church of Second Sight is going to be on trolls that come in people's chat rooms and, try and intimidate or embarrass or just disrupt the chat room. That's what my Church of Second Sight is going to be next week. And you better believe it's going to be epic. You better believe I'm going to be calling out people, and I'm going to do it like only I can do it. So, you know what? Next week, everyone who's going to listen to my other show, you better strap up, people, because I'm going to kick it real next week. That's a damn sure.
Actually, what I think you should say, Chris, is that each week you're going to do a chapter on the never-ending saga on the Steph Ben troll, and I think that's what it's going to be about.
You got it. Do we have our guest back yet? Not yet. Denny, could you try and get our guest back? I think we.
Yeah, I'm working on it, buddy. I'm working on it, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I wasn't annoying you. My mic was acting up.
No, do what you got to do. I mean, you're the boss back there. So,
While we're waiting for her to come back, I think it's really fascinating. She.
Hey, I'm here. You guys
there she
can
is.
hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I know. I kept saying, "Are you okay?" I'm sorry. The phone actually, the whole phone just died, so I went on another one.
Okay.
That's okay. Well, we're happy to have you back.
Wait, what was good? What did you say you're going to do in the chat room?
Oh no, this is on my other show next week. We had there's what we call them trolls when people come in the chat room and try and disrupt you or say negative things, and they hide behind a fake name. I'm going to call out a few of them next week on my other show. So it should be a lot of fun.
Your viewer that asked the one question, that's where we ended up getting cut off at.
Yes, Jeremy, ask that question again.
I forgot what it was.
I've got it, guys. The question from Judith was, when you meet a client, can you tell by talking to them for a few minutes if hypnosis will work for them or not?
Well, my belief, because it's what I've done with everyone, is that hypnosis works for everyone. What I do when I listen to a client is I listen to their verbiage, and it tells me what their internal representation is. If they say, "Oh, I hear what you're saying," I know they're auditory. If they say, "Oh, I see where you're going with that," they're visual. If they're saying, "Oh, I understand," that's an auditory digital. Or if they say, "Oh, I'm feeling exactly what you mean," they're kinesthetic. So what I do is I use that like verbiage back to them under hypnosis, because now I know that that's their internal representation. We all have a higher one. We're all a little bit of all, but we all have a higher one. We're auditory, highly kinesthetic, which is feeling. Auditory digital, which basically kind of means like self-talk, or visual. And when I sit there and listen to the way that you speak, I automatically know what your internal representation is.
Judith followed up by saying, what if they say, "I know"?
Well, let's think about that. Is "I know" a visual? No. Is "I know" an auditory? No. Is "I know" a feeling? Yeah, it could be a feeling, but "I know" is an auditory digital, which is saying to me that they have a lot of self-talk going on.
Interesting. When we teach psychic development classes, we also identify people by the type of sensor they are, whether they're clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, or what did I miss? I said clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and what's the one that I'm missing here?
I think you got them all.
I think I'm tired tonight. That's what it is. Or what I call, they have all of them, then I call them an eclair, but that's another story. I just wanted to follow up with you, Barb, on something. There's an old line from the song by The Who called We Don't Get Fooled Again, where Pete Townsend wrote, I'll get all my papers and smile at the skies because I know that the hypnotized never lies. Is it true that under hypnosis you cannot be deceptive in any way?
Well, it depends if someone is faking being under hypnosis. I mean, but the truth is what happens is that our subconscious mind wants to talk to us. It wants us to hear certain things. However, if it believes that it's going to be harmed or that you're going to be harmed in any way, what it will do is it will say it to us as a story. It would be like, let's just make pretend, I got arrested. And I didn't want someone to know I got arrested. So I said, hey, my friend got arrested. And my friend wanted to know, what needs to be done in order to get out of this arrest. And that's how the subconscious mind talks to us sometimes, because it doesn't want to be exposed. So it will talk to us in very, symbolic ways.
Outstanding.
And it's, and you need a good hypnotherapist to figure out what exactly that means. And I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you right now something with dreams. I do not believe that a snake means X, Y, and Z. It depends on what a snake means to an individual. Are snakes someone's pet? Is there a snake that you got bit before? Are snakes, do you think they're cool? What does a snake mean to you? Because, people do all this dream interpretation and they go, oh, a snake means this, so that means this. Bunch of crap. In my belief, okay? Let's say it that way.
Well, I like that. I like that you think outside the box. I think people are intimidated by that because, people ask me, what does this mean? What does that mean? And they want the textbook definition of everything. What does it mean when teeth fall out of your mouth? What does it mean with a snake? And it's not always, so cut and dry. And I like that you think that way because I think the same way. And Victor, I know you do as well, correct?
Absolutely. That's because people it's human nature to process things subjectively rather than objectively. And so what means something to me means something totally different to you because it's my subjective experience versus your subjective experience. And I think that's really what it's about for most people. We're coming up to the top of the hour. Barbara, I'm just going to say we're coming up to the top of the hour, and we're going to have to take about a 5-minute break. So I'd just like you to remind our listeners how they can find out more about your work, and if they want to get in touch with you, what they should do.
Well, we could go with, my website is theconfidentmind.com, or if you go on Instagram, you can follow me at theconfidentmind.
Wonderful. Chris, anything to say before we call it the hour?
Well, I wanted to ask one last question. We have 2 minutes left. I want to get this one last question about the subconscious in, and then the second hour, tackle the dreams. I want to know, can you really learn to control your subconscious?
I'm sorry, say that part again. Can you do what to control the subconscious?
Yes, can you learn? And we needed the short answer because we only have 2 minutes to break. I just wanted to get this question in.
I couldn't hear that first part. I'm sorry. Can you do what with the subconscious?
Can you control the subconscious mind?
It's not about controlling. It's about investigating and finding out because the subconscious mind's the driver. And let's give it the correct navigation on where we want it to go.
That's a great answer, and we have about 10 seconds until the hour comes up. You're listening to Vision Quest. He's psychic medium Chris George. He's Moonshine Jeremy Adams. I'm Victor the Voice Fuhrman. Our guest tonight is the wonderful Barbara Jean Carey, owner and operator of the Confident Mind Center, www.theconfidentmind.com. This is DTM Wicked Radio, and we will be back. Okay, we've got about, 6 minutes, Chris? 5 minutes, 6 minutes?
Yeah, about 5-6 minutes. So, Barbara... some severe pain tonight, but he's doing a great job as usual. And our guest is Barbara Jean Carey, and we are having a phenomenal conversation talking about the subconscious. Now we're going to start talking about dreams a bit. I got to tell you, people, phenomenal show tonight. Victor?
And I'd like to say for our listeners who are joining us here in the second hour that Barbara is the owner and operator of the Confident Mind Center in Malibu. She's currently working on a new television series as well as on a book and a series of CDs. She's a spiritual mind practitioner, a motivational speaker, a master neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, a first-degree Reiki practitioner, a master therapeutic imagery facilitator, past life regression therapist, handwriting analyst, and master timeline therapist. Her website is theconfidentmind.com. And on that note, Barbara, we're going to ask you, do you believe in karma? What's your take on karma?
This is what I believe with karma. To me, karma is like attracts like. What you give out, you get back. It's the law of the universe. It's basically you're going to give out good, you're going to receive good. Kind of think of it like a boomerang. Whatever you throw out there, it's going to come right back at you. That's how I think of karma. I don't like when people are saying, well, I have this awful life because I'm paying off some karmic debt. I'm like, no, you're not. You are actually attracting to you exactly what your thoughts are attracting to you. And if you want to change this life, then you need to change your belief system in allowing yourself to continue to have this awful karmic life because of something that happened in a past life that could be true or could not be true. So if you want to change your life...
I had a wonderful teacher many years ago, about 40 years ago, who said life is a matter of attitude. If you don't like your life, change your attitude, which I think really hits it on the head.
What do you say about this? I have a friend who used to be my best friend, and he was my partner in business for many, many years. He started smoking crack. Everything about the guy was bad. He was a bad person. He was a mean person. He was a thief. Everything bad is what he was. He got caught with 50 vials of crack and $2,000 on him, went to jail, got out of jail. This guy lived a blessed life. I mean, if I tell you nothing, the worst thing that ever happened to him was he got put in jail for 2 nights for the crack, got out, beat everything. This is somebody who robbed my whole business to the point where I had to shut my business down, okay? What about somebody like that who does nothing but bad in their lives, but meanwhile just has everything just kind of fall into their lap? Where's the karma in that?
Because we think that we know what we're seeing. We think that we see, hey, this guy never got anything bad that happened back to him. This never happened. We truly don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We really don't know. Our perception of what we can see is literally not even 10% of what is actually going on. So it will look as if that, oh, we've got this blessed life, and that this doesn't happen, and that doesn't happen, but there's something that is going on. Because one thing I can tell you for sure is you cannot fake out the universe. You can't. You can't give bad energy and expect to get good energy back. You can't do it. It matches, it's like vibration. It's like gravity. It's going to pull you down. It's a law of the universe, and that's why they call it the law of attraction, just like the law of gravity. It might look like that they're getting away with stuff, but we truly don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
I'd like to change it up just a little bit. How can reoccurring dreams be used in your therapy sessions?
Well, it depends on when the dreams are. We have 3 stages of dreams. The first stage is when we first go to sleep at night. And, we dream during the REM cycle, the rapid eye movement. And there's 3 different stages. The first is when we first go to sleep. We first fall asleep, we have our dreams. Now, if we happen to wake up after that dream, that is our subconscious mind predicting, not psychically, it's just predicting what it believes is going to happen next. It says, hey, A, B, and C has happened. Now let's do D, E, and F after that. That's what that dream is about. Now, let's say you have that same dream, except it's in the middle of the night. So let's say you go to bed around 10, and now this dream is between 2 and 4 in the morning. That's where all of our nightmares happen. And the reason why is because that stage of dreaming is your subconscious mind is trying to let go of something that it can't let go of. And it's trying to vent it out, and it can't. So it's looping over and over and over again. The early morning dream is when we successfully vent out in our subconscious mind whatever it was that we were holding on to, and then it let it go. You know, people believe that we need to catch up on sleep when we're overly tired. We don't need to catch up on sleep. We need to catch up on dreaming, because our subconscious mind has to vent. It has to dump. There's billions of message units coming to us throughout the day, and it brings it down to 2 million, and it brings it down more, and it brings it down to about 5 or 7. And it needs to successfully dump that. What is it going to hold on to? What is it not going to hold on to? Where does it fit in with the belief system? And our dreams are a navigational guide, but you have to let me know when you had the dream. Because if you had it in the middle of the night compared to right before you wake up in the morning, it's a completely different interpretation. Most people don't know that.
How do you feel? How do you feel about people who say they don't dream ever? I mean, in my mind, I see everybody dreaming, just not everybody remembers it.
That's right. Everyone dreams. Without a doubt, everybody dreams, and not everybody remembers it. And it's because when the subconscious mind is dreaming it, it might not want us to consciously remember. Why do you think that we wake up in the morning and we go, oh my gosh, I have to say this dream before I forget? Why do you think? Why do you think like all of a sudden we forget? And you go, oh man, I don't have it. I lost it. You guys should take a guess. Why do you think we lose our dreams? And it's happened to all of us.
Is this something that we're not supposed to remember?
It's not that not supposed to remember. The subconscious mind believes if we become consciously aware of it and we try to take it away, then we're going to die. So it won't allow us to remember it because it doesn't want to mess with the apple cart, so to speak. And that's why.
Well, it's interesting because I'm a very vivid dreamer, and I frequently remember my dreams. And I've sort of programmed myself on specific occasions to have specific dreams and remember the dreams. I keep a notebook on my bed because I like to journal some of the dreams and keep records of them. But I believe that we have the ability to program our dreams and to remember when we choose to remember.
Well, let me tell you this. The reason why you are programming yourself is you're trying to get something out of it. Otherwise,
Exactly.
You wouldn't be programming what you're going to do, because you want to get something out of it. And there's a reason why you want to get something out of it. Now, I will encourage you guys to do this tonight. Think of something, and you don't need to broadcast it, but think of something in your mind where you feel stuck. So let's just say that somebody says, oh, I don't know, I want more clients. Let's say somebody says, I require more clients or customers at a business. I require more customers, and I don't know why. I don't know why I don't have that many customers. So what you do is you write it out, and it has to be in longhand. It can't be printing. Printing is all about control. You have to write it out on a piece of paper in longhand, because it's an ideomotor response directly to the subconscious mind, and you write out in longhand and you say, I will vent out in my early morning dreams exactly what is holding me back from allowing more customers to come into my business. And watch and see what you dream. And the reason why you say, I will vent out in my early morning dreams is because you want to help the subconscious mind process it and let go of that false belief.
Now, I have another talent when it comes to dreaming. I have a dog who is better than the world's greatest alarm clock, and every morning at about 4:30 she starts whining, and I hear her whine. It wakes me up, and what will happen is I will have a dream. The dream will be interrupted by the dog waking me up, and then after I take care of the dog, I go back to bed, and the dream continues.
Well, because the subconscious mind, and you're saying like 4:30. What's 4:30 to you? Is that a middle of the night dream?
No, because I usually get up at 5:30 anyway.
Okay, so that's dreaming that's successfully venting. It's right before you wake up.
Exactly.
See, that's another thing you have to ask people. Because people will say, I had it at 4 o'clock, and someone will go, oh, that's a nightmare dream. No. You have to ask, what is 4:30 to that person? You know, it's not 7 billion people living in one world. It's 7 billion worlds living on this one earth. So we're all unique individuals. And we have to figure out, and it's my job as a hypnotherapist to figure out what's inside your world. Let me in so I can help you figure things out. And start, do that tonight. Think about something that you might have a limiting belief on or something that's holding you back, and watch. It will either come out in a dream symbolically or it will come out literally. But it will come out.
Kathy in the chat room would like to know, so why is it that we need to catch up on our dreams? I'm trying to process this.
Because our subconscious mind throughout the day has millions of message units coming at it. Millions. And it can't handle all of that. So it has to decide, what am I keeping? What's in line with my belief system? What am I going to let go? What is something that's bothering me that I can't let go of, that I'm going to try to let go of it? So it's a matter of literally dumping. Because this is what happens. Something happens in our life, an experience happens, and it stays in the critical mind for about an hour and a half. And then it decides, am I going to let this in or am I not going to let it in? So then if it decides to let it in, it gives it to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind will hold on to it for about a 24-hour period. And if it isn't in alignment with what's going on, it vents it out. If it is in alignment, and it says, this is in alignment with this belief, and it hurts when I think about this, and I don't want this, that's when you're going to have that nightmare dream. This is why your subconscious mind has to dream. It's got to vent out. It has to. Otherwise, it's overloaded.
Very interesting. I want to know, and this was a question that was sent to me by somebody on Facebook. They want to know, what is the average amount of dreams a person usually has in one night?
Well, that's a really good question. You know what's an even better question? It's how long do you think a dream actually lasts for?
A couple seconds.
Absolutely right. You're right. And you can go on and tell somebody a dream, and you're telling them, and it's taking you 5 minutes to tell your dream. But yet it happened within seconds in the mind.
That's crazy.
So it is. It really is. Because you're like, well, wait a minute, how could that have happened in seconds? I don't get that. I don't understand that.
Well, do children's dreams mean the same as adults' dreams?
That is a great question. That's a great question. Now, depending on the child, are you saying between 0 and 8 years old?
Either or. Cover all scenarios.
Okay, well, let's say between 0 and 8 years old. Remember, we're a sponge now. so it believes everything that we're having is the truth. So if something happens to us that's our truth, that's upsetting to us, we try to vet that out, but it comes right back because it stands as the truth. Let's say we go into the critical mind stage. The critical mind is debating, okay, am I keeping this in, am I not? Then we go to the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is basically, what I just talked about. However, it's really important that when anybody, whether it's a child, a teen, or an adult, tells you a dream, that you validate their feelings, that you validate what was going on. And you say to them, wow, that must have been scary. Well, wow, that must have been exciting. Stuff like that. My kids will come in the morning and they'll say, oh my gosh, listen to this dream, but it was a middle of the night dream, so this is something I need to work on. Or they'll come and say, oh, I listened to this dream, and it was an early morning dream, and this is great because now I've ventured out and I'm starting to accept that belief of it. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because we just have to listen. However, Victor, you're telling me that you vividly remember your dreams. So what that tells me about you is that you are open and receptive to the truth, that you know that your truth is not going to lead you down the path of death if you find out.
Absolutely. In
You're
fact, I think
exploring.
sometimes I refer to dreams as night school.
Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And again, I want your viewers out there to realize that we can't judge ourselves. It's so hard for people not to judge themselves. But if we can look at it as that we are kind of being, we're going on like a hunt, and we're being a scientist, and we're looking at these experiences and like, wow, look at this happens when this happens, and look at this when this happens. And when you come to that acceptance, it's when you can change. Remember, there's only 3 things we can do in life, in any situation. We can either accept it, we can walk away from it, or we can change it. That's it. There's only those 3 things. Eckhart Tolle talks about that in A New Earth. And that's it. That's all you can do. One of those 3 things. And what happens is that we have this investigator in us, and the subconscious mind hires the investigator. And it hires the investigator, and it says to us, hey, investigator, we want you to go out, and we want you to gather all of the evidence that's going to support our belief system, because this is going to keep us safe. So let's say a girl says, oh, gosh, all guys are jerks. Every date I go out on, they're just a jerk. So guess what? Her investigator is going to go out there and attract the jerks to her to prove her right. But let's say there's a girl that says, oh, there's so many lovely guys, and I don't know who to choose from, and they're so nice, and they're amazing, they're loyal. Guess what her investigator's going to do? Go out there and attract these loyal guys to her.
Well, we have a question in the chat room from Kathy. She wants to know, how do you explain a dream that is prophetic?
Well, ask her if she can. Have her give me a little bit more information. I want to go deeper on this, but ask her if she wouldn't mind just to tell me exactly what it is that she's looking for. And if she doesn't mind sharing, well, we don't know who she is, so perhaps she wouldn't mind sharing what it is that she's actually looking for. In the meantime, while she's typing that up, if that's the way it works,
Yeah.
is there anything that you guys are coming up for you?
Well, we have. She actually typed it up already. Let me give that to you. And she said a dream that you are being shown what's going to happen, and it happens.
Because we're only one mind. We're all one mind. So we actually access and open that porthole to see exactly what it is that is going on. Because remember, everything's happening simultaneously. There's no such thing as a future. There's only now. And there's all different dimensions that are going on, and everything is happening. Everything that has ever happened has happened, and every possibility that's ever going to happen has happened. And we tap into what's going on. Okay, you know what, Chris? I'm sure you'll agree with this for me. The best psychic in the world can only predict what energy you are vibrating at this moment. You can come back another time, and they're going to have a different reading.
I agree with that completely.
So it's really what's picking up is what we're vibrating at right now.
Absolutely.
I did Touch for Health, which is applied kinesiology, which basically, you hold your arm out straight, you lock it, you don't let me push it down, and I start asking you questions. And when your body is lying, your arm will get weak. When your body is telling the truth, it will stay strong. And you can actually believe, let's say, no one in my family has lived past 80, and I'm positive I'm going to die at 80 years old. So that's a belief that you have. That's a belief that someone sold you, and it's not fitting now. It's not working for you. Now you need to return it. They sold it to you. You have the receipt. You have to go back and return it. And we need to undo that belief by installing a new belief. And then I test that through kinesiology, through applied kinesiology, Touch for Health. And it shows me what you are actually believing. It shows me what's going on. I had a client who was doing weight loss, and she had gained all of this weight, and we said, okay, let's see what your belief system is onto what number you can actually get down to. And I started doing this applied kinesiology to her, and we got down to 187. She believed she could get down to 187 pounds. But 186, her arm went weak. 187, her arm was strong. And I said to her, what happened when you were 187 pounds? And sure enough, she starts bursting out crying, and she says, oh my gosh, that's when I got divorced 10 years ago. I was 187 pounds. Now, how would I know that? And I'm not psychic. How would I know? It's because her body told me. Because your body gets weak when it lies, and it's strong when it tells the truth. Your truth. Not a universal truth. Your truth.
Now, isn't it also true that if we have a belief and we enunciate that belief, we're actually programming that belief, and we have to turn it around by unprogramming it? For example, when you say, that woman, every time that woman's around, that woman is a pain in the neck, and every time you're in her presence, you've programmed it so that you will have physical pain in your neck. Is that correct?
I completely believe that. I believe that you even need to really watch what songs you are singing. One of the most powerful things is music, because it accesses the whole entire brain. And when you are singing a song to yourself, this is why I always say, find a theme song for yourself. Find a theme song that is really amazing. I love Diana Ross's "I'm Coming Out." I love that song. That lights me up, and I can sing that song all day long. And that's a positive affirmation that's going through my head on a daily basis. You have to be careful. Be careful to what you're listening to.
Now, Jeremy was singing that song, and he came out of the closet.
Good for you. Good for you.
Victor, ma'am, one thing that you need to realize that even though Victor has this sultry voice and you can just get lost in listening to him, he's full of it.
Well, you know what? Victor would make a great hypnotherapist, because you can get lost in your voice. Yes.
Actually, I'm not full of it. I have jokes that I throw in from time to time, but as you can tell by the nature of my conversation, I impart what I've learned in life and share it with others for their benefit. So that's another story.
Well,
and I also am a spiritual counselor. I'm an ordained interfaith minister and a spiritual counselor. So I do use the voice to help people when they're in trouble.
Well, Well, I see that, and all three of you are extremely intelligent, and this is why you're manifesting this wonderful radio show.
Wait, hold on a second. I have to come clean. I'm really not that smart. So.
You know what? I don't believe you. And you know why I don't believe you?
either.
Because there's a part of you that's smart in something. If you started to ask me about world politics right now, I'd have no idea. You ask me anything about the world, I know it all. So does that make me dumb? Does that make me smart? What does that make me? No, it makes me passionate about something. The fact that you are passionate about something is showing that you are smart.
Yes, I'm passionate about every single thing I do. I'm extremely passionate about everything. That's something that's been with me since I was a child. I'm passionate about every single thing I do.
Well, of course, or you wouldn't have this radio show.
And I just want to follow up with what we were saying before about saying things that sort of program. I studied Silva mind control 25 years ago, and they said anytime you say something that creates a negative program, anytime you verbalize something, it's important to say cancel, cancel, cancel to reverse the programming that just took place. So if you say, this job is killing me, and you realize you've made the mistake in saying that, you have to say cancel, cancel, cancel to reverse that energy.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah, I've heard cancel. I erase that. I use the verbiage, I erase that thought. So what feels better to you? Cancel, erase?
Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you.
Exactly. Whatever vibrates for you better. Just think about it and say, I like the cancel word. I erase that thought. It depends on what it is that works best for you.
If it's what vibrates for you best, then Chris uses Pinky Tuscadero, but that's another story for another show.
Oh, here we go.
Let me tell you, Chris, I loved Pinky Tuscadero when I was in grade school.
Yeah, so did I. Barbara, if you only knew what they were talking about, oh God. But following up on that, I actually had a little crush on Pinky Tuscadero when I was a kid. So yeah, but that's not what they're talking about. Trust me, because they're out of control. These two. Jeremy,
I get it.
Okay, let's get back to the show. Why do some dreams keep repeating themselves?
Well, because, again, it depends on when they happen. Usually the dreams that repeat themselves are in the middle of the night, because your subconscious mind is trying to release and let go of and resolve this belief that it doesn't want to hold on any longer, but it can't because it needs something to replace it with. We can't take anything away from your subconscious mind without replacing it. Here's a great visual. Imagine a baby, a year and a half old, sitting at a table at a restaurant, and it picks up a knife, and this sharp knife, and it starts bouncing and up and down, up and down, up and down. Just it's about to cut its face. And if the parent runs and grabs the knife away from the baby's going to start screaming. However, if the parent distracts it with a toy on the other side, the baby either is going to let go of the knife or not realize that you took the knife away while it's grabbing the toy. That's how the subconscious mind works. It won't let go of the knife until we replace it with something else. And this is why, under hypnosis, we distract the conscious mind and pull out the weed and implant the beautiful flower.
Well, I want to, before I ask the next question, I want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine who's listening, Sam Borowski. He's a director, does some phenomenal films, and I just want to give a little shout out to him. And my question to you is, do we dream in black and white or color, or does it mean anything if we dream one way or the other?
No, it doesn't. Some people say that it does, and my belief is that what it means to you will mean something. So in other words, if someone says, oh, black and white means this or color means that, no, What does it mean that your movie was in black and white? What does it mean that your dream was in color? Now, I will tell you, though, this. When something's in color through neuro-linguistic programming, when we do things, when something is color, it's bright, it's vivid, it's there. When something is black and white, and again, I'm talking when we're doing neuro-linguistic programming, it's usually something that's negative. Now, if somebody interprets that in their dreams, and they notice that when they're dreaming of something that they don't want to be a part of, that they dream in black and white, that means that's the way their mind is processing it, compared to dreaming in color, where it's more vivid and rich and, colorful and imaginable, and it's right there.
Well, is it true that the more senses you can experience in dreams, like color, smell, etc., the greater your intelligence is in general?
Well, I wouldn't say the greater your intelligence is. What I would say is that when you are visualizing in your mind, if you close your eyes right now and visualize you're in Hawaii and you're sitting by, the beach, and you're in the sand, and you can feel the sand beneath you and the sun beating on you, and you can feel the warmth, and you can hear the birds and the sound of the ocean, and you can actually taste that salt air that's in there. The more you utilize those senses, the more the subconscious mind believes that it is happening, and it kind of indents it. And what I'm telling you with this is that the subconscious mind does not know the difference between fantasy and reality. It doesn't know. It believes that what's happening in our mind right now is the truth, because it doesn't know time and space. It doesn't know Hawaii is a distance from us. It doesn't know that there is a time difference, because it's not dealing on this reality, on this plane of action of Earth. This is why it doesn't know that. So do you know all you have to do is hold a vibration for 17 seconds to activate it. And at 72 seconds is when it actually becomes so strong it gets sent out to the universe to attract its like energy. So when someone thinks something negatively, if they're holding it for a couple of seconds and they get all scared that they thought it, that that's going to create it, they're not. It's what you're holding on to the majority of the time.
We have a question from Kathy. Excuse me, from Kathy in the chat room, and she wants to know, what state of mind are we in just before we fall asleep? It seems that the time I get messages from the other side, but this is not a dream. I'm still awake. But she thinks she's still awake.
That's theta. Theta is when we are the most psychic. Theta is that you're not asleep and you're not awake. And it's right there in that realm. And that's when everything comes to us. Because it goes beta, alpha, theta, delta. Delta's deep sleep. Beta is our everyday conscious. And alpha is you're not right there consciously, but you're not down in theta. What happens is when you're driving on the freeway and you miss an exit and you don't even realize, or you drove home from work and you don't even remember driving. You're like, how did I get here? Or how did I miss that exit? Or what was
I do that all the time.
That's like you're in a stage of hypnosis. You're in like the alpha stage of hypnosis. You're not beta. You're not there, consciously aware of everything that's going on. That happens to everyone. And because it happens to everyone all day long, all of this stuff that seeps in from the media, that seeps in from the radio, this is why it's wonderful you guys are doing this, and, allows this good stuff to be aired. It seeps in, especially when we're in one of those states where the mind is really open. And then it'll attach to something of your belief system.
Barbara, a lot of in the field of paranormal investigation, we frequently encounter people who have had what we call the experience of sleep paralysis or hypnagogic sleep, where they wake up and they believe they're fully conscious, and yet they can't move their bodies, and some have the experience of either seeing or experiencing what they interpret as some type of entity or some type of energy force taking place. What's your understanding of sleep paralysis or hypnagogic sleep?
What my interpretation of that is, anybody that has that is highly suggestible. Highly suggestible. That means that when I was talking earlier on suggestibility, we're either literal, okay, or we're either inferred, or we are what's called a somnambulist. And a somnambulist means that you're almost, you don't realize it, but you're almost walking around constantly in this constant state of hypnosis, where everything that comes in is affecting you. And people that experience what you just described are most of the time somnambulist. You got to be careful. You got to be careful when you're a somnambulist, because you're pulling in other people's energy. You're opening yourself up to good, bad, and indifferent.
Now, further to that, I've heard the explanation that what happens is when we sleep, especially when we're in REM sleep, that the brain actually freezes the body because it doesn't want the body to act out physical things that the mind is dreaming. So, for example, if you dream that you're fighting with someone, it doesn't want you to start punching out, especially if you're sleeping with someone. And that's the reason for sleep paralysis. You're actually waking up, and that release mechanism hasn't taken place yet. Is that your understanding also?
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. However, how many people actually wake up when they're in that paralysis state? How many people are actually aware of that paralysis state? I just remember once in my life, and I must have been about 8 years old.
Yeah, I remember having a lot, as a child, having it happen a lot as a child. Not recently, but as a child.
Okay, because you were open. You were in that state of being a somnambulist. It's the people that become aware of it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen to everyone. It happens to everybody. It's what is it that allows us to become open and aware to it.
And the other thing that happens
when you're a somnambulist.
And the other thing that I've also experienced is that when people have it explained to them exactly what's happening, when they're aware of what it is, it stops.
And think about that. What's coming into play right now? What's coming into play when someone's explaining to them what it is?
You're taking the fear factor away.
And you're now being logical. And remember, let's go back to the word world, which is all that our conscious mind does. We have willpower, we analyze, we reason, logic, decision-making. So now it sees the reason, it has logic to it, and we jump right out into the conscious mind.
And I just want to remind our listeners that we're listening to Barbara Jean Carey. She's the owner and operator of the Confident Mind Center in Malibu, and her website is theconfidentmind.com. And I believe we have a guest on the line.
Danny, could you bring Sam on? Sam is trying to call in. He has a question for our guest. Can you get a chance to bring him on? His name is Sam. And in the meantime, Jeremy, why don't you take the next question?
This question comes from Facebook. Do animals dream?
Oh, absolutely. Do you see when Victor was talking about his dream at 4:30 that his dog was waking up? Now, was your dog just moaning because like he's in pain, or was he asleep when he's moaning?
No, she actually likes to wake me up so that I can feed her at that time in the morning. That's just her habit.
Oh, I see. So okay. So she's actually like complaining to you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
She's calling out and saying, feed me, feed me.
Right, okay. So you can see the animals dreaming. You can see them, the way that their body is moving. You can watch. Oh, absolutely, animals dream.
All right. Do we have Sam with us yet? Not yet. All right, Denny, when you get a chance, just bring Sam on for me, please. And in the meantime, I want to know, how can our daily activities affect our dreams?
Oh my gosh, that's all that does affect our dreams too, is our daily activities. Remember, everything that's coming in, everything has to get processed of whether it fits into our paradigm or not. And again, if it fits in, it's going to stick. If it doesn't, get rejected, or if it's not sure, it's going to process it, and we do all of that through dreaming. All of it. You want to know what's going on in your life? Watch your dreams.
Kathy in our chat room would like to have a dream interpreted. She has this recurring dream where she says that carrots and donuts are walking hand in hand through the forest, and she'd like to know what that means.
Well, what does carrots and donuts represent?
Is she serious? she didn't say that. Oh, my God.
Oh, you know what? People can have dreams like that. And it's what does carrot represent and what's the donut represent? I mean, we think logically, whoa, well, carrots represent health and donuts represent, unhealthy and fat. But you know what? I would never assume that with a client, ever. I would sit there and say, tell me what a carrot represents to you. What does a donut represent to you? What does it mean that they're holding hands? That could actually be a relationship issue.
Well,
where they believe the carrot and the donut don't go together. See, we don't know. We can't assume anything. We have to get into the person's world.
Are there any differences in male and female dream patterns?
Oh, great question. However, in my life and my experience, what I have learned with my clients is it depends on more of their personality than it does the male-female. It depends on so many things. I mean, so many things. It can depend on their control drama. It can depend on if they're aggressive, if they're an extrovert or an introvert, or so many things. But yeah, that's a great question, because there's a lot of things that say, oh, that's just a male mind, or that's a female mind. And I could say, well, actually, I've seen females act that way. I've seen males act that way. So I don't really ever go into a male mind or a female mind. However, I do go into human behavior and what ends up, I can pretty easily predict human behavior, because if X, Y, and Z happens, then A, B, and C is coming next.
All right. Well, do we have our caller with us yet? Sam, are you with us? No, Sam isn't with us yet. We're trying to get him on. Sorry, we're not getting you on yet. But Danny, if you get a chance, Sam is in the queue waiting to come on. If you can get him on for me, go ahead, Victor.
I think Judith is also in the queue. Judith, are you there? Judith, are you there? Okay, so while we're waiting for them to get connected, is it possible to die, not really die in life, but die in your dreams?
Well, if you notice that most people will wake up right before they die. If there's like a gunshot and, and someone's about to kill them and they fire the trigger and then they wake up. If they do die, what happens next? What happens next to them? So when you say it's impossible, my belief system is everything is possible. But what does it mean to us? And what happens to us? Here's a great way for your viewers and yourself to really get down to what's bothering you. If you sat there and said to yourself, I'm afraid of calling my boyfriend. And you say, okay, or my ex-boyfriend. I'm afraid to call my ex-boyfriend. Because why? What do you believe is going to happen? And then they say, and then you say, and then what? And then they say that. And then you go, and then what? And then what? And then what? Until you actually get down to the real fear, the real issue. And also, I want to share with your viewers is that there's two types of fears, not the two that we're born with, but two types of fears that actually are magnified, and we are only one of these two fears. Half of the actually, it's like 52% is activated by one fear and 48% is activated by another fear. The first fear is a fear of rejection that people have that fear of being rejected, and the other one is fear of loss of control.
Well, I think we have our caller with us. Sam, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Sam, you have a question for? Well, first of all, hello. And you have a question?
I have two questions, Chris. Pinky Tuscaderos.
Okay.
I'm going to change my name to Pinky.
No, oh, God. Will you ask the question already, Sam?
Hello?
Go ahead, Sam. Ask your question.
I'm listening. What's your question?
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead. Ask your question.
All right. The first question is, I've been known as a manifestor. That's how I've had a film career, as a director, a producer, a writer. Isn't it possible, I've found, to plant a thought before you go to sleep, and it's most powerful then to put into effect and manifest? And the second question is, can we control our dreams? Can we plant a thought on what we want to dream about?
Okay, so the first question, you are absolutely right. The reason why you are absolutely right with planning it right before you go to sleep is because you get into that theta state and the conscious mind is too tired to push it away and reject it and not let it in. So the subconscious mind is completely open and it allows it to sink in so much easier. It's what we do in hypnosis. We distract the conscious mind and allow the subconscious mind to be opened. So you planting that thought, that seed, right before you go to sleep allows it to happen that much more quickly. Now, when you said that you are known as a manifestor, guess what? Everyone is a manifestor. You happen to be a manifestor for your highest good in your life. You created a belief that will be opened up to the abundance that is coming to you. Someone else could be a manifestor of negativity, but everybody's a manifestor. So,
I try and be a manifestor of positivity.
Well, and it's not even about trying, you're doing it. You are a manifestation of the energy that's out in that universe that comes through you as a vessel and manifests in your experience.
Sam, I just
Now,
wanted to comment. I'm sorry, Barbara. Sam, this is Victor. I just want to comment. I had mentioned before, I don't know if you heard it during the show, I will quite often plant a thought prior to going to sleep where I have a solution that I have to come up with in life, and I'll put that question into my dream state, and quite often during the course of the night I'll get the answer that I'm looking for.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've been working with that lately.
Okay.
Well, I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in Sam. I believe that Sam is the type of person that when he puts his mind to something, it just kind of happens. Maybe not at the pace he wants it to, but inevitably it does happen. So, yeah, Sam's got a good grasp on things, I believe.
And Sam, one other thing, I just want to say that this goes back to the ancient Chinese philosophy. In fact, Confucius once said that a man who goes to sleep with a sex problem on his mind will often wake up with solution in his hand. So you have the answer right there.
I don't want to touch that one, but actually playing off of that, is it possible to control your dreams, what you will dream about? Not necessarily with the solution in your hand, but what you will dream about. Is that possible?
Well, it again, just like I don't know if you heard me earlier talking about when you write it out in longhand, in cursive writing, it's the ideomotor response to the subconscious mind, that you can actually write out what it is that you require to dream about. And for what purpose? For what purpose do you want to control your dream? Give me an example.
Well, I mean, isn't it always better to have a pleasant dream than not?
Well,
a hopeful dream, a pleasant dream?
It depends on what we are trying to find out. If there is something that's stuck in our subconscious mind that we want to let go of, and the only way to let go of it is to bring up the negativity that is keeping it stuck there, then so be it. Bring it out and get rid of it. Let it go.
So I'm talking about positivity, dreaming about something you'd like to happen or something that you just would like to dream about.
And what you do is you say to yourself, oh, absolutely it's possible, because what you're doing is what you're saying to yourself is, okay, I'm allowing the belief system to come up that has interpreted everything that's already gone in within me. And my belief with that is I am going to allow all of that positive energy to manifest, especially in your early morning dreams, of allowing that to go out so the creation begins. And what all creation is raising our vibrational energy to matching the like energy of it. So what you're doing, Sam, is you're allowing your vibrational energy to match that which you require, and you can't help but attract it to you.
Well, we only have 3 minutes left. We only have 3 minutes left. Victor, did you want to ask a last question? And we want to thank Sam for calling in. We really appreciate you calling in, Sam. But we only have 3 minutes left.
Have a great night.
You too.
Well, you too.
I think we had one other caller. I think Judith is there if she can ask a quick question, because we have about 3 minutes. Judith, you there? Okay, I guess we don't have Judith there. Kathy, you there?
She's not there, guys.
Okay, so there's no caller online. Okay. I just want to say that this has been a wonderful show. Our guest has been Barbara Jean Carey. Barbara is the owner and operator of the Confident Mind Center in Malibu, and her website is theconfidentmind.com. Barbara, thank you ever so much.
Well, my pleasure, and it was an honor speaking to 3 intelligent men that are manifesting a wonderful radio station. And keep it up.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you for joining us.
Jeremy will get the archive to this show out to you tomorrow when we get it, and Victor will be contacting you about coming on Second Sight in a month or so.
Absolutely.
It was great having you as a guest. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Okay.
And folks, I just want to conclude with a thought of the week for tonight. And this week we lost a great woman. Her name is Dr. Maya Angelou. And most of you know who she was and what she did in her life and her writings and her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which was just absolutely so phenomenal. But she's also said many, many wise and wonderful things. And my favorite quote of hers, which is the thought of the week, she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said.
90
People will forget
seconds.
what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So always strive to make people feel good and positive. And that's our thought of the week, Chris.
That's a great line, and I've used it many times. Absolutely phenomenal. And this has been a great show. Jeremy, who do we have as a guest next week?
We have Frank Mayers. I believe he found 9 of his
60 seconds.
9 of his past lives, of which the majority ended in bloody murder. So he's going to come on and tell us about it.
Wait, was he murdered or did he murder someone else?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
That's interesting.
That is going to be very interesting. Anyway, people, thank you again for listening. I thought this show was fantastic tonight. Our guest was unbelievable. I'm looking forward to talking to her again. And for the record, the lovely Chrissy is here, and she's been feeding me shot after shot. I think she's thinking about taking advantage of me, but that's a whole other story. Say hi to everybody, Chrissy.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Chrissy, we love you.
I love you, too. I miss you all.
Miss you too, sweetheart. So he's psychic medium Chris George. He's Jeremy Moonshine Adams, and I'm Victor the Voice Fuhrman, and you have been listening to Vision Quest. Thanks, everyone, and have a great night.
Have a great night.